Hello. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Is everybody good? Is everybody excited? I'm quite excited about tonight's chapter for several reasons. One, I quite like the chapter. It was fun to write. Two, uh, I'm excited about the vote for tomorrow because I've had to have a little think about where the book's going to go from here. So I mapped out a few like spider plans today of all the things that could happen from this point. And I was sort of thinking to myself, like, right, okay, so I'll start sort of having a think about the different routes the book could take and then leave it up to you guys, obviously, as to how the voting is. Because I've tried with the voting so far, what I've been trying to do is make a mixture of ones where it's almost potluck for you, like the body parts, if this happens, this happens, if this happens, this happens, and some where you might have a sense of what's going to happen and can develop the plot. But then, obviously, as we get further into the book, I'm sort of like, oh, okay, so I need to have a few ideas. And I'm kind of excited as to how it goes. I think tomorrow's episode could be. Oh, it could really go either way, and I'm so excited as to what you vote for. Um, so yeah, those are my thoughts. Also, I quite like today's. I don't know how you're going to feel about today's. Today's your vote didn't affect too much of the outcome. So I asked you for a location, and the location vaguely affected it, but not crazy affected it. So I'll explain more about that afterwards, because I don't know, maybe you're interested in the voting system or my arbitrary system of writing. Maybe you're not. I don't know, but I can tell you about it afterwards. So hello to everybody. Had a first time voter last night. That was exciting. That was very nice. Like most of the usual crowd, like people dip in and out, but I sort of recognise most names. But yeah, it was a new voter. It really made me. I enjoyed that. Thank you. Can't remember what your name was now. Katie, I think. Well, shout out to you anyway. Um, so, so today is not our fault, says John. None of it's been your fault, guys. Fate does what fate does. But, sometimes fate's a cruel mistress and sometimes she's a wanton hussy. So we shall see what she's up to tonight. Uh, I was quite enjoying your chat about my tweets today. Yeah, have I been stroppy today? I don't think I've been stroppy today. I booked the movers today, so we are moving a week tomorrow. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with the book. Basically, I was sort of in my head thinking we might have wrapped up by the time I move. So if we finished the story by next Wednesday, we'll call it off there. If we're still going, then we'll have to have a few days off next week. I'll probably have to have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, I think, to get packed and moved house. Then after that, I'm not really sure because I don't know if we're going to have internet in the new house. So I might have to drive back over to this flat to do the read for you from a place of internet. But I'm not sure. We'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. We'll find a way to finish the story anyway. But it'll all work out. But there might be a small intermission where I can't stream or won't have time to write. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. It'll, Kim says you're going to need grief counselling. You'll be all right, and I'll be around. I've tried to follow a lot of you on Twitter today to cement the bonds of the book group. London Calling says, "Are we coming with you, Laura?" Yeah, sure. Come on over. We'll have a front garden. We can socially distance and hang up. John says, "Don't feel obligated to keep this up as a daily thing." I don't feel obligated. I really don't. I really feel like you guys have been really lovely. And saying like, on the days where I've really struggled, and Tom will back me up on this when he's done ordering us takeaway. Like I've struggled on a few days, but like I've wanted to do it. So like it's not that I feel like, oh, if I don't write every day, everyone will be snarky and horrible. Not at all. But I've wanted to, I think, because I like the reading. Sometimes the writing's difficult, but then it's always worth it for the reading, if that makes sense. Uh, Claire says, followed Chris, but not me. I think Chris happened to say something, and so I sort of found his account quickly. But if you all say hi, I will follow you back. Lisa says, moving in 3 weeks. Thought I was the only person crazy enough to move house during a pandemic. No, doing it too, babes, and bought a house. Might been the most crazy thing I've ever done. Sunk 10 years of savings into a house, but don't care, don't regret it, not going to be sad. I'm so excited at the idea that we've bought a house entirely from being funny. Like, that's really cool. Every penny that we've bought this house with is from telling jokes and being creative. That's really exciting. And if it makes you feel better, Lisa, according to the Rightmove emails I'm getting, a lot of houses have gone up for sale in the last week. I think it's all moving again. So, right, we'd better get reading, hadn't we? We'd better get reading because it's quite a long chapter. I've made up for the lack of word count in last night's chapter and I got really carried away today. So let's see how it goes. Right, chapter 28. And 28 is my lucky number. Born on the 28th at 2 minutes to 8, weighing 8 pounds 2 ounces. Right, let's get reading. I have to do my positioning so I can see when all your comments go flying. Oh, I don't think it's quite as explosive as the kiss, though. So we'll see what you say. We'll see what you say. We'll see what you say. Right. Unbelievably, Emma's Saturday night passed without incident, completely without incident. She didn't splosh so much as a drop of tea on the floor. She managed to order a pizza to her house rather than a missile strike on an unsuspecting village. And when the pizza arrived, she spoke to the delivery driver and paid for it without a single pigment of colour in her cheeks having to change. Emma went to bed feeling physically rested. However, her mind was whirring, flitting from thoughts of Theo to thoughts of Jack and back again. As her hangover had faded, so had her feelings of misery about the way the date with Theo had gone. So it hadn't been perfect. So what? So she'd had unanticipated sex that she was a little tipsy for. So what? She wasn't ashamed of it, and there would, hopefully, be more sex of a sober variety to come. But with who, though? Asked a sly voice in her mind, and she allowed herself to wallow in the luxury of that question instead of shirking from it in confusion. She let her in-head cinema play a small feature film of Jack in the kitchen, cloth in hand, and she watched as the actress playing her pulled up his t-shirt to reveal a subtly muscular stomach under tanned skin and a good amount of hair. Theo had been hairless, she thought. And while that wasn't a problem, there was definitely something so sensual about the idea of body hair. Her own arm hairs raised and prickled at the thought of a hand running over Jack's chest. He had lifted her onto the counter now and was kissing her in the way people only kissed in films where they didn't have to worry about getting off the counter to find their pajamas covered in Marmite. There it was, the point she always reached with her imagination, where it got out of her own control and started concentrating on the inane instead of the exciting. Were other people's brains like this, she wondered, constantly interrupting them and misbehaving? She lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering at what the week would bring. By this time next week, she could be in a relationship. Wow. But with who? Theo? This mysterious object of her affections that had consumed all of her attention for years now? It felt so bizarre that he was now tangible. Would she ever be able to be honest with him? To tell him he was the reason she was in Bath? Wouldn't that make her out to be a crazy stalker? She felt an icy cold in her stomach at the thought of him hearing her tell the truth and backing away from the crazy. Or perhaps she could see where things went with Jack. That felt exciting, less cliff edge and crazy, but maybe nicer for that. An evening in watching TV with Jack and Elliot after work felt imaginable and plausible. She could understand how that could happen, whereas with Theo, she couldn't even begin to understand what they would talk about. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? Her toes curled up at the thought of being next to him on a sofa. Emma finally drifted off to sleep with thoughts of possible futures. It was exciting and unexpected. Sunday bloomed over Bath with a high sky and a lavish temperature. Everything felt energized and fresh. Emma felt ready to go. She spent the morning spring cleaning the flat, music turned up loud and singing along out of key. What's the worst that could happen? She thought to herself naughtily. Your neighbour will come downstairs and tell you you're bad. She grinned as she dusted the mantelpiece in the front room. Her phone never strayed far from her hand as she anticipated the text from Fiona. Poor Simon. At least he had had good weather to cushion the impact of news from Fiona that she was choosing awful Norman over lovely Simon. Emma wondered what it would mean for the future of her friendship with Fiona if Norman became a permanent public fixture. It would certainly mean she wouldn't want to go for double dates very much. She tried to picture Theo sitting across a table making conversation with Norman and failed. She didn't have to picture Jack doing it. She'd witnessed his sass at the zoo. She smiled, remembering it. Late afternoon, her phone buzzed from the arm of the chair, and she picked it up to see a WhatsApp message from Fiona to her and Anya. Ugh, that wasn't fun. Come to the pub. I need gin. Emma replied in the affirmative and grabbed shoes and a jacket. She grabbed one shoe. This is typical Emma. She grabbed shoes and a jacket. Springing out of the front door and into the sunshine, she decided to walk as it was lovely out and headed in the direction of the little pub out of town they'd arranged to meet at. She took the canal path, enjoying the way the lout bounced. Oh God, you can tell I've had wine, haven't you? Ugh, I had a few glasses of bubbly, and my brain is not working. Every blue back plop. Where was I? She decided to walk. We'll go from there. She decided to walk as it was lovely out and headed in the direction of the little pub out of town they'd arranged to meet at. She took the canal path, enjoying the way the light bounced off the still water. No boats passed, but plenty of joggers and couples holding hands, dog walkers stretching their legs and teenagers laughing at each other and things on their phones. Emma felt a boundless energy in her stomach. She felt of the joys of spring, to coin a phrase. She felt good. The path curved round and she ran her hand along a cool stone wall as she approached a bridge. She had to push her sunglasses up onto her head, such was the comparative darkness in the shadow under the bridge, and it was a good job she did, because she just about managed to catch sight of the enormous bundle of fur legging it towards her. She was able to sidestep the furry cannonball as it blasted at her shins. Emma flattened herself against the wall as the dog pulled up, reared around, and leapt at her again. Blinking into the gloom, she realized that the panting face trying to be in the same gap in the space-time continuum as her own face was Elliot's. Elliot, she exclaimed, trying her best to stroke him, remove his paws from her stomach, and calm him down at the same time as stopping him from pulling them both into the canal. Hello, boy, what are you up to? She peered out into the sunshine for signs of Jack, but couldn't see him anywhere on the path. Elliot breathed heavily and did his best to lick her eyebrows. She held him off her as best she could, keeping one hand on his collar and the other rubbing vigorously at the silky fur on his stomach. Where's Jack then, eh? She grinned at him, surprised by how excited she felt at the thought of seeing Jack. Sorry, came a woman's voice from the other end of the bridge shadow. Sorry about my dog. Elliot, come here. Emma stood up abruptly. Oh, duh, of course. Jack's ex-wife had Elliot this week. And weekend. Emma felt her heart thudding in her chest as the woman got nearer and nearer. She was tall, slim, and was frowning at Elliot. He's okay. Emma found her voice and called back to the woman. Oh, yeah, sorry, I should let you choose an accent for Jack's ex-wife, shouldn't I? What do you want then, you horrible bunch of psychopaths? What do you want? Oh, human hairball accent. Oh, curse you. What do you want? South African? Shane, I'm not doing Mexican. You can put Mexican in this group chat as often as you like. I'm not doing it. I absolutely refuse to get cancelled whilst everything is already cancelled. No. What do you want? We've got one vote for South African. We've got a discounted account for Mexican. Aussie. We've got Chinese and Jamaican. Dutch would be too close to Swedish. I don't think I can't make Geordie and Swedish different. I don't know how you think I'd get Dutch and Swedish to be different. Can we go with things that are stereotypically a white skin colour, just because I feel that's the least offensive thing I can do? you pushing for Dutch. I mean, it's just going to be the same as Anya's, but I feel like if you guys had your book your way, it would just be an entire book of Anya. She'd be the narrator, wouldn't she? So um, Jordan says Scottish. Scottish? Oh no, I really couldn't do it for the last one. Italian, that's a good idea, Georgina. What about Italian? That's vivid, isn't it? Scottish, please, from Jackie. Did you not get enough of that in the last book with Hamish? Right, I'm going to note this down. It's going to be Scottish or Italian. You can vote. You can decide. Scottish or Italian, what do you want? I didn't veto Scottish, no. You can have Scottish if that's what you want. I just wondered if, because you've already had it, it would be boring. Italian, right, okay, Italian. Going with Italian just for the sake of expediency. Okay, Italian. Right, who's got an Italian voice that I can think of? Thomas, can I put the camera on you?
No.
Thomas absolutely lost it laughing. How do you do Italian, babe? Tom, do Italian.
Would you like Mario? Do Mario.
Hi, Mario.
Perfect.
How do you do it?
Perfect. That's how you do it.
Oh, Tom. Yeah, okay, right. Here we go then. Is your dol mio they? That's a good idea, Artworld. Okay, right. Sorry, came a woman's voice from the other end of the bridge shadow. You need to go in another room now because I can't have you laughing at me in real time. So please go away. Sorry about my dog. Elliot, come here. Emma stood up abruptly. Oh, duh. Of course, Jack's ex-wife had it. No wonder he cheated on her. You couldn't listen to this bitch talk for more than 10 minutes, could you? Oh, dear. Of course, duh. Jack's ex-wife had Elliot this weekend. Emma felt her heart thudding in her chest as the woman got nearer and nearer. She was tall, slim, and frowning at Elliot. He's okay. Emma found her voice and called back to the woman. She racked her brains to see if she could recall Jack telling her a name. That would be super weird. You can't already know her name. You'll look like a weird troll hanging out under bridges waiting for people. She'll think you're going to kill her. Emma panicked, the feeling in her legs draining out through her shoes. Should she pretend she didn't know who the woman was? Which is weirder? Her brain screamed at her. She had not reached a conclusion when the ex arrived at her side and attached a lead to Elliot's collar before standing up and looking at Emma. I'm sorry, he's usually very well behaved.
Transylvanian. You're doing Transylvanian.
I'm not doing How do you do Italian? I'm sorry. He is usually very well behaved. I just don't know what my hand is doing. Whatever it is, it's offensive. I'm sorry, he is usually well behaved. I know, said Emma, immediately. Do you know how long it takes me to write these fucking chapters? And then every single time they get derailed by these fucking accents. I might as well just not even try and write a proper book. I know, said Emma, immediately realising she'd sealed her fate as to which way she was going to have to play the conversation. What? The woman was wrong-footed by Emma's odd response. Oh, yeah, sorry. I know Elliot, said Emma, stumbling over her words. Well, now you've made it sound like you personally know the dog, she questioned herself. I do. Well, yeah, but maybe mention you know Jack too. That would help, wouldn't it? So it doesn't look like you've befriended a dog solo. I live downstairs from him and Jack, Emma added, wondering if perhaps Jack might have mentioned her to his ex-wife at their lunch on Friday. Probably not, she decided. They'd had much bigger and more important things to discuss. Oh, right. What a coincidence. Jack's ex didn't seem to know what to say back to that. And Emma couldn't say she particularly blamed her. I'm just walking him back to Jack's. Well, your place. Have you had a nice weekend with him? I'm Emma, by the way. Emma wasn't sure whether to shake hands, so went for a sort of shy wave. Fucking hell. I used to be an award-winning comedian. What's happened? It made the other woman smile. I'm Rebecca. Nice to meet you. Yes, it's been lovely to have some time with him. Bit of a surprise, but once we had the food and the little rug, you were all right, weren't you, buddy? How well do you know a Jack? Rebecca had pale brown eyes that Emma would swear were glowing in the dim light under the bridge. She would almost accuse herself of having a small and baseless crush on the woman based solely on her poise and face. Absolutely not, she was firm with herself. We're not adding a third love interest to the confusion. Who is that asking for subtitles in the chat? You've done this to yourselves, you fuckers. Chris, no, you're not having them. If you want these shitty accents, you can put up with not being able to follow the plot. So there. Oh dear. Staring at Rebecca, she was distracting herself. Staring at Rebecca was distracting her nicely from thinking about what to say back about how well she knew Jack. The truth was, pretty well, and almost not at all, simultaneously. She settled on a vague answer. I've not known him long at all. I only moved in about a month or so ago, but we've hung out a little bit. Yeah, he's a nice, friendly guy. Emma couldn't work out if there was a trace of sarcasm or malice in Rebecca's voice. No one can tell what this woman's trying to say. Yeah, well, I prefer Elliot, if I'm honest. Emma tried a little joke to break the tension, and it seemed to make her smile. Ha! I'll tell the Jack you said that tonight. Yes, that will make him laugh, said Emma, desperately wanting to question what Rebecca meant by tonight, but being absolutely sure that that was beyond the boundaries of a conversation you could have with a perfect stranger under a bridge. Well, I ought to get to the pub, I suppose, she muttered instead, and ruffled Elliot's head. Nice to meet you. Yeah, lovely to meet you too. Rebecca smiled, and she and Elliot continued in the opposite direction to Emma. Emma felt suddenly drained of the confidence she'd had bouncing along the path moments earlier. She was annoyed by this. Right, and that's it now. Rebecca falls in the canal and dies. It's very sad. Elliot doesn't even try and save her. Oh, my cheeks hurt. Yeah. As she was annoyed by this. So what if his ex is beautiful? That doesn't mean you're not. No, but why would he be interested in me when that's the sort of woman he's used to? Whoa. What's this line of thinking? Sort of woman? Get a grip and bring yourself back to the 21st century, please, woman. He had one partner, now he fancies you. The two are unrelated. But Emma felt curiously deflated as she pushed open the gate to the pub garden and joined Anya and Fiona in the sun. Oh, God, I completely forgot that I wrote Anya into this chapter because I felt like you guys had missed out on accents lately. Oh, bollocks. Oh, fucking hell. They had a bottle of wine chilling and poured a glass for her as she sat down. You'll never believe who I bumped into on the way here, she said. It was a Dolmio puppet. In the skin of Nancy Dell'Olio. That's what I'm picturing now, is Jack Sex's Nancy Dell'Olio. This is all coming out very football managery. Oh, dear. Oh, right. You'll never believe who I bumped into on the way here, she said, taking a sip, and proceeded to explain the encounter to the girls. Blimey, said... Oh, hang on, what's Fiona Welsh? Blimey, said Fiona when she had finished. What are the chances of that? With that dog, pretty high. I'm starting to worry I smell a lot stronger than I think I do. He always seems to know how to find me. They laughed, and Emma started to feel a bit more normal. She hated feeling set up against Rebecca. It felt contrived by her own head and insecurities, and she wanted to be better than that kind of rivalry. Wanting to and achieving were two separate things, though. So how did it go with Simon? Asked Anya, turning the conversation round to puffy-eyed Fiona. Oh, pretty miserable, she said, staring at the wooden table, picking bits of the flaking varnish off the beams. But he's so kind. He tried to make it easy. Said he was sorry not to be able to see where we'd go, but that he understood. Have I done the wrong thing? Yes, screamed Emma internally, hoping that Anya would have the confidence to say it out loud. Anya stayed quiet, though, so Emma tried to formulate the word no in her mouth. It was reluctant to appear. Not if that's what you think is right, was the closest she could get out, and Anya nodded sagely at her elbow. Simon seems pretty relaxed and friendly. Maybe if you explore things with Norman, but it doesn't work out there could be space to try again with him. Excuse me. You know, with fewer complications. Fiona was nodding glumly, and Emma rubbed her arm reassuringly. Are you feeling like maybe you made a mistake? Fiona shrugged and her phone beeped piercingly from her pocket. She pulled it out and checked the notifications. Norman, she explained, hastily typing a reply. No, I don't know. I suppose the thing I'm curious about is, what does it say about me if I don't stay with him now? What do you mean? Asked Anya, sharing the last of the Prosecco across their glasses. Well, I was with him the whole time, years, wasn't I? Waiting for him to leave Helen and wishing he'd leave Helen and knowing that if he'd only leave Helen, everything would be all right. Then he finally leaves Helen and I don't want to be with him anymore. Hang on, you planned to dump him before he and Helen split up, Emma interrupted, already feeling the light-headed effects of sun and bubbly wine. And he didn't leave Helen, she left him, Anya added. Emma was glad to have the backup. Yeah, you're right. But here's the thing, and I don't know if I can explain it well, so let me get it out. What if it was the affair I liked after all? Like, not hurting someone or anything, but I suppose I'm scared that it was the excitement and the promise and the hope that I liked. Being with someone who was married was like being single, but with company. I was hoping and waiting for that perfection round the corner. I don't know, I'm not making any sense. It didn't make much sense to Emma, she had to admit, but it made some, and she could see the beginnings of where Fiona was coming from. They drained their glasses, and Emma was just standing up to go and get them another bottle when a shadow fell across the table. Oh, hang on. What accent? What a fine bunch of fillies, said Norman, sitting down on the bench and making it jerk rapidly to one side. Norman? Oh, God, I cannot do Geordie to Welsh. All right, Wheels, hang on a minute. Norman, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Fiona looked a bit cross, and Emma willed her to be so furious at this invasion of privacy that she threw the enormous ring in his stupid face. I thought I'd surprise you. Hello, ladies. Norman oozed fake charm, and Emma wanted to make loud, fake vomiting noises just to make Anya laugh. Looks like you need another bottle. Allow me. Norman stood back up again and headed into the bar before anyone could protest. Emma forcefully scooped a smile out of herself and spread it across her cheeks and eyes in support of Fiona. That's thoughtful of him, she admitted through gritted molars. Wheels. I didn't tell him to come, said Fiona. I told him I was No, that's Geordie. Hang on, how do I go back to Welsh from Geordie? I can't remember. Oh, fucking hell, I can't do it. I'm from Wheels. Who's Welsh? Think of somebody Welsh. Gavin is all right, Stace, all right. I told him I was catching up with you two. I think he's going overkill to seem like the perfect boyfriend. Oh, now fucking Swedish. This is like trying to do gymnastics with my mouth. I'm not clever enough for all of this. Well, that is good, no, Anya said helpfully. It will give you a chance to see how you feel about him. Yes, let's just enjoy a lovely sunny drink with him. A perfect testing ground, said Emma, forcing herself to be positive and not give in to the gloomy thought of Norman and his wallet dominating the conversation. Norman reappeared with a silver wine cooler and a fresh bottle of Prosecco. Emma was pleased to note that he hadn't upgraded them without asking or done anything extravagant. He was drinking something normal looking. Emma wouldn't have been surprised if he'd reappeared with a platinum tankard of liquid sapphires. Tankard? That's not how you say that, is it? Tankard. With a platinum tankard of liquid sapphires, but it was just an amber liquid that she assumed was an ale. That's a great idea, Lisa. Get Tom to do the male voices for me. They're all really enjoying you laughing, by the way. Do you want to do the boy voices?
No.
Please? Can you do it? You can do it, Geordie. You can do all accents. You're such a fuck. He's really good at voices. It's annoying. Right. We're nearly there now. We're so close. This is such a long chapter. I'm so sorry if you had things to do today. He settled on the bench and chat turned naturally to the beautiful weather and the perfection of a Sunday in a beer garden. Anya was very good at small talk and seemed to be finding it very easy to hold Norman in conversation about the restaurant trade. Emma was happily pleased to see that he was less money-focused. Occasionally, a question would slip out, but he really did seem to be trying hard not to talk about the cost of things too much. As the sun and the Prosecco worked their magic on Emma, she began to relax. Perhaps he would make Fiona happy. He was clearly trying extremely hard to win her favour, and with no wife to complicate things, maybe their relationship would go from strength to strength. Just because he had been a cheater didn't mean he was terrible now. You're excusing him to make it okay that you think well of Jack, a little voice was whispering from a shadowy part of her brain that the sunshine couldn't reach. No, I'm being fair to him. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Funny how you didn't want to do that until you kissed a cheater. Emma's brain played her a gif of Scarlett O'Hara saying she'd think about that tomorrow, and she blinked herself back into the conversation. Norman was explaining about what winds were needed and where in the stratosphere that they should cause a mackerel sky. She resolved to give Norman a chance. For Fiona, for himself, and for Jack. There we go. We did it. We finally got there. We reached the end of all of the accents. Can we do Tom a Kickstarter? No, he looks severely like he's staying out. We'll raise money to
encourage me to do the male voices.
Yeah. Are you interested, babe? I think
I'll do the male voices on the next book.
On the next book? Oh, fuck off. We're writing another one. You can write the next one. You write the next one and I'll read it. Anyway, we can have this argument without you guys having to sit and watch it. Oh, dear. No, I know you've got no idea what happened, John, because it's fucking impossible to keep up with the plot with my stupid accents. Right, now, there's your episode. So to give you behind the scenes information on what the voting was, I had a vague idea for like 3 different types of wife that Jack could have had. So depending on where, if she was always going to be with Elliot and Emma was always going to bump into her, but if it was in the pub, I was going to have her sort of be snottily talking and Emma overhears it and then notices Elliot and realizes who it is. So she was going to be a bit snooty. If she was on the canal path, she was just going to be lovely because I was thinking, who walks a dog along a canal path? You know, she was going to be really nice. And if it was the train station, I can't remember what my plan was for that, but I had a different type of wife. Sort of, those were my plans. So, were any Italian? No. When I read these all to Tom to practice them beforehand, they're always just. Anya doesn't even have a Swedish accent in the retelling. Fiona's accent is the only one that I do because it's the only one I can do. So your question for tomorrow, and a fair amount rides on what you do here. So it's up to you. There are different plots depending on how you vote. And that's all the information I can give you. So, what the hell was that noise? Tom's phone just vomited. Right, your choices are choose one of these. Volume, water, pain, money, or cloth. And I'm giving you good odds at it going well, all right? I'm trying to make this what you want. But your choices are volume, water, pain, money, or cloth. Those are your choices. I'm giving you good odds, but may the voting be ever in your favor. So you guys go forth with happiness and see what you end up with tomorrow. I'm so sorry if it's the one you don't want, but I've tried. All right, I've given you enough chances there that hopefully that goes. So there you go. There's your chapter. Hopefully that's got you over hump day. Wednesdays are just right in the middle of a big sea of mess, aren't they? So if you're working, I hope that that's picked you up ready for your next shift. If you're furloughed and uncertain and unemployed, then look, we're all in this together. We'll get through. Be good to each other. And I'll see you tomorrow to see what you choose. Good night.